guys, welcome to Archetype Insights. This is me, Sharon Dane. Uh, Today I'm gonna be taking you to an graphological interpretation upon famous personality. So I decided to have a reading done on Albert Einstein, who being the theoretical physicist of all time, and the world knows him. You and me knows him, and I am no one to talk anything about such a brilliant personality, but it's very exciting, and it inspires me to read about the people who have left behind the mark upon the mankind, and they are not alive with us today at this point in time. But it's very exciting and intriguing to know about, you know, a little bit about them in person and how he was and what inspired him from a life cycle point of view, from a personality point of view. And everything I'm doing based upon the picture of Albert Einstein. I've not gone much about him with Wikipedia. So I don't want to touch more insight about his personality, which was relatively spoken and been presented already. I'm just picking a few pictures uh, about this personality, and I have downloaded the images of his notes and his writing being presented, and some notes are from his work. So based on that, we will try and analyze how he was as a person. It's going to be a tough job for me because it's very cool to analyze a person's handwriting when a person is right in front of you, because sometimes it helps an interpreter or probably an analyst to know the personality very clearly, and can identify that in the handwriting. However, I do not have any background check done regarding his family or how he was as a person. All I'm trying to get this kind of messages through his handwriting, and with that I try and pick certain words and certain aspects of his work, which he has left for us, and what inspired what inspired him to write upon it, or probably why is that message being so very clear to me through his handwriting. So that is something which we will be discussing upon this video. So I wanted to show you the handwriting which I have picked up the first, and this particular handwriting, it specifies a lot about how he was as a person in general. Now, let me tell you, he is born in a very aristocratic family which is highly reputed in terms of very intellectual. He's a born intelligent person, and is highly intelligent. He's highly intellectual, and he being gifted this intelligence from his familial type. Okay, so it's a gene contribution. Okay, and it is within the family, and his family is well, I have understood he was a German physicist, and yes, of course, he's born in Germany. So the life is more of a very aristocratic in nature. People who have been really brilliant. They were being very outspoken people within the family, as a very close bonding with all the family members. And this warning also specifies what do they talk. They talk a lot about intellectual capacities of conversation across a table. It's not even across a table, I would say, like there's a lot of a mutual understanding within the family members, in his in his bloodline, and from his great grandfather, and from his father, you know, genes. So it's like very very highly paced conversations and understanding what they hold. Now the second thing which I have observed in his handwriting, that he is a time traveler. What is that mean is he is a traveler. He understood many concepts when he is born. He knew he has no time. Um, he has to leave behind something which is very very much important, and he's born genius. Okay, his intellectual capacity or the IQ level, or probably there is no emotional what do you say, imbalances. He was very, it's not like when you are becoming a researcher and when you move to a different level or a different grade of research, you probably tend to lose close contacts and ties with your emotional with your emotions, and you get a little detached from your close loved ones. Okay, so he is not of that sort of. He was blessed with good people who have already been in the research, people who have been a PhD holders, and people who have got the intellectual capacity to interact and to conversate. So for him to pick things up in the very beginning of his schooling, or probably his high school, was very very easier, and that really made the person much more ingenious, because when you are struggling to reach to a level of intellectual poise life, or become a scientist, become a professor, but you are not blessed with a family of that sort of, it becomes a real struggle. So the time you would take to complete that education will be much more higher than with those people who have been really born in an intellectual family, and family of doctors or professors. So I think this kind of writing the theory, writing papers, or teaching, it has all been come from his forefathers, or from his father bloodline, and that it's what it represents quite very eminent in him. Also, what I have believed is a time traveler, which means he knew he has come on this time upon the earth to deliver some message, a message which is not just to get inspired to sit and read about it, but it's a message to understand the severity behind his theoretical explanation. I hope I'm making sense to you. That's the reason why I said he's a time traveler, which means he has come from some distant place to deliver a very important message, and that he has delivered through his writing, through his theory, through his principles, and he's explained so well to the world that the time is very short, and it's something related with the time. Even in his personnel, in his handwriting, I could sense there is a timer next to his bed, or probably onto a writing table, where he kept a timer which is a wooden timer, a very old Roman figure, letters and the numbers, and it has got that tick, the tick sound. So his brain works with that tick motion of speed and relativity. So he has explained very well about the time through the theory of relativity, because he keep listening to the tick sounds, the pendulum clock when it moves, it gives a sound, it leaves behind a sound wave, and he picks up the detailed messages, even the very detailed calculations within those, pendulum motion. Okay, because there is something very strangely, strange message you used to get through this tick sound, or probably the movement of the pendulum in the clock. And he used to keep this timer next to his bedside, or probably to his table side. And I could imagine he got a very big library in his personal living space, or probably where he used to write his research and his theoretical novels, or journals. And he used to sit on a wooden table with a bed onto the left side of the library. And I believe he has left this timer upon his table, and the timer, the pendulum voice is so very loud, and it's a pin drop silence of the library and in the room. I could feel it. And with that time and with that sound waves, he could pick many things about the universe. Now, I am trying to connect with you how his atmosphere would have been. I may be wrong. I'm no one to even touch or do any kind of a discovery, or I can be overboard. I can talk about which may be relevant, which may not be relevant, but this is what the picture I'm getting through his handwriting. So yeah, because we don't know anything about Albert Einstein, where he lived, how was his home, and the time he used to spend. We don't know anything about him. We do know a lot about Marilyn Monroe, but not about Albert Einstein. He was a person with histrionic personality. I would not say narcissistic, but very histrionic personality with very aristocratic well-being and upbringing, and very disciplined person who knows to speak for the truth. He knew he has come for a great work, and we all knew about something about his brain. So let me tell you, he knew he got intelligent, and he knew he's over here with the ticking sound of the clock voice. He has no time upon earth, and he has to deliver so many things to the mankind that it would stay, and it would be remarkable, and it would impact the generations to discover his ideas and thoughts and his viewpoint. And he knew something about his brain, because his brain used to be really very heavier, okay, than, and he could feel it. He knew he got so many things to do. He knew he's highly capable person to discover many things about the universe. And at times when he sleep, he could actually can travel with the light to a parallel universe. And a lot of his discovery, a lot of his theoretical notes and research papers, which I figured out from this particular handwriting, that it was not a normal person or someone from this planet could do certain work like him. It takes another level to reach. Like, for example, if you wanted to analyze someone, okay, it becomes much more easier to observe the person from the camera when you zoom out or you watch it through a television or from your mobile. And when you shrink that particular person smaller, it becomes much more easier for you to analyze, observe that pattern of behavior. So do he, being a time traveler from a parallel universe, and he can locate to that parallel universe and can understand how the concept of light waves, the ticking sound of the time, it's all connected with the universal forces. Most of his theoretical writing are being done in the late nights because that gives him peace, ease, and gives him a lot of messages that he could see things from a distant point of view. And he knew we all would be in despair, in darkness, if we'll not understand that we were being born upon the earth from the supreme light that has been explained in the quantum mechanics. The theory of quantum mechanics is something beyond a level of imagination that a person can explain so quite very interestingly the gravity of the light forces and how this gravity is impacting each and every planetary motions and the mankind in general. He been ruled by a supreme force. It's called as light. And in order to conversate with the light, he used to sit the late night to write his research. His certain notes have very clear messages that he knew there's nothing to worry about death and the birth and rebirth. It's all about time traveling. It's all about movement. I want you to observe this particular portion. It talks about speed. The speed in which he can travel with the sound of the time to the light force and to the parallel universe, and even beyond that, there is an immense quest to understand its very strange phenomena out there in the universe that holds our life, our living, our thinking, our behavior, our emotions. Let's just come back to another, analysis upon his writing. Okay. In this particular writing, I will talk how he was as a person in general. So, before I could move any further, I want you to like, share, and subscribe for this interpretation on Albert Einstein and give your comment below. Thank you. Welcome back. To be continued with Albert Einstein, the graphical interpretation upon his handwriting. What I could understand or what I could analyze with his handwriting, he was he was a brilliant man with a very aristocratic principles and personality. In the meantime, he was a very silent observer, very open-hearted, good to conversate with. He knew he don't have much time left to be lived like other people are, though he was happily married and got, um, which I have read about his family, or the family or relations, is more related with women figure, uh, to have a very prominent, imprint in his personality, because this woman figure, or the people like, I think, um, he got a daughter and two wife, and his second wife happens to be the daughter of his, from his maternal side, from his mother's sister, and he got married to her, and then it's like a lot of women, uh, you know personalities we've been holding his persona. So that really shows, with the capacity of, higher, caring, nurturing, and so he got that kind of a nurturing element in his personality. More so, so even that, like, when he is explaining something, it's not like more of a man type, it's more of like a woman who can actually, or like a motherly personality, who could actually listen to you and understand you, nurture you, and carry you in truth. um so it's very motherly, as a person he been, um and very high degree honored, hardworking person, and he knew he has to deliver as much as discovery he is making with his brain. He don't have to read more books or discover, with other novels or journals. He used to discover with his brain, the phenomenal objects, or the phenomena happening in the universe. He could observe the universe in general and understand with his brain, with his theory, with his explanation, how those concepts can, be very logical in his explanation. And it so happens is like, when we are doing the research, like I did the research for cancer care, and when you're doing the research, and when you know that the passion is with the research, you get the quest in your mind. You want to do the quest upon some aspects of your research, and for that, when you do it, it so happens like, um, you get the answer, and you choose a hard way to go for it, and you look for a long-term objectives. And sometimes your quest, and your inquisitive, your in, inner ability, or internal, elements of the quest becomes even more wider and wider in picture, and bigger, and then you need to go with a lot of explanations and bring forward a lot of statistical tools to explain in detail what you exactly mean for. Okay, so maybe you have started from small point, or to have a conclusion done, but in order to reach to that point, you go bigger in general. So he was a person who can discover many objects of the universe, and he wanted to pen it down every time he discovered new things, new phenomena. And he thinks that he was a high thinker. It's exactly, you can see it in the images, his hair, something like, sure, um he get a little bit of, panicness, or a strange, paranoia, when he discovers more about the universe, and he could not explain the reason why. In any of his work, he could not understand how this phenomenon is so estranged, and it scares him, but he could not explain it to the world, and you don't want anybody to get scared. But it's very scary phenomena out there in the universe. He can observe the universe. He was a personality who lived among us with his work, for his work, and being acknowledged, nobly, and recognized, rewarded. But nobody knew that He was among us, but never been like us. He never lived, he wasn't been anything like us. Um, he was a different person upon the earth to leave behind some some philosophies that we as a mankind should know. And that's exactly why he came on earth. It scares us now to rediscover about Albert Einstein, but nobody have observed what it made him to bring forth the quantum theory, the quantum mechanic theory, and bring forth the relativity speed phenomena in picture, because this all scares him. It scares him to utmost degree, utmost higher degree, that he wanted to protect mankind and make us aware that you should know these principles do exist. Also, I could say in his handwriting, he got a very close bonding with his students. He loved teaching, he loved to, because I believe maybe his forefather would have been a researcher, probably someone who had been in the profession of teaching and delivering the knowledge and imparting the knowledge to the people. And he been a very disciplined student. He have learned a lot from his teacher. I could also sense a woman figure becomes so very prominent in his personality. His mother, his daughter, his I read he got a daughter named Stephanie or Steffi. I'm not sure about the name, but yeah, he got a daughter, and again he got two wives, and one from the maternal side again. So there's a lot of prominent figure, and I could sense he was very disciplined from his teacher, and the professors and the teacher is a breaking point of his personality from where he has began his journey, and he's very closely connected with the students. He wanted to be like the professors and the teachers whom he has idolized in his life, and he is so very fascinated with the board, and the chalks and the students. He's very excited to teach them, very excited to share the principles with them, because he see they are the future. And he came upon earth to deliver, to give, and he was a giver. He never lived a normal life. He never believed in living a normal life. And for him, the normality of life is getting married and having kids and having family. It is worthless for him. For him, the importance is in the research. For him, the importance is in imparting the knowledge, sharing the information through his journal, through his research, to his students. Okay. Yeah. So and something more about him, I could see is like well, we'll just come back with one more observation on his personality. I also sense like he used to carry this smoking object in his hand, which is very what do you call it as, like the smoke pipe, which most of us are aware, in his pictures. The smoke pipe is so very brilliantly articulated in his personality, with his mind, that the smoke pipe gives him a space to think, a span to think a little further and more beyond that. And yes, so the smoke pipe has a very important play in his personality to make Albert Einstein the Einstein, or probably capture his images with that smoke pipe. And it's very prominent in his writing. The smoke pipe is so very connected with him in his personality, and also it has been recognized, with Albert Einstein always in the images where people have captured the images. It's very close to it. It never wanted to leave it, kind of like a soulmate to him. And he always carry a pen with the ink, like the olden pen, dipped with the ink to write. And he loved to write. He loved to carry that pen along with him quite often. I also feel like he was highly disciplined. There's a lot of Roman Catholic, imbibe in him, or probably a Roman education, or probably something related with Roman, discipline or culture or principles, or maybe religion, something related with Roman. So that's again prominent in his personality. He was a perfectionist. He loved to see everything in a perfect order line and everything with perfection. He was very clear-headed, and he believes in brilliance. He believes in genius work. There is no areas. A genius is born, and it's born for a purpose. So he believed to be a genius in all the walk of his life, and he wanted to bring forth that force of geniosity, or being making the people genius with his work. He adored beauty. He loved to listen to music. He loved light colors. Yeah. He loved to travel, but not quite often. He was a very personal person. He was very personal to him. He was not someone very outgoing, or probably can travel to different places or meet along with too many people. He would rather like to meet only maybe one or two person with whom he could have that intellectual conversation. So it was very personal for him. He was a man with having a personal space. I hope you understand that. He didn't want to explore more, and there's a hidden side of him which says, if you open up more with other people, they might take away. They might not understand you. And at some point in time, he was becoming a little insane, I would say, because it was detached from the reality. Because when you do that kind of level of research, you really cannot go back to a normal life. Nobody would understand you, nobody can relate to you, and nobody will not understand you either, right? So he was kind of like detached from everyone. So that really instigated paranoia personality in him as well, with his mental health, I could see, with his images and with the graphical interpretation. And that's sooner or later, before it could even make him more fearful, um, he left us. So because most of his research is based on universe, parallel universe, and universal force. You could see universe with his mind, and he could travel in the space and bring forth that quest investigation. So it scares him, and that really made him detach from the reality and from a normalcy. Understand me? And that's before it could overrule on him, he just left us. So his death was again coming to the fruition with his work. So I believe he died exactly the time when he has finished his work. He was objective to do certain research work and give the work to the mankind, and when the time is finished, he left us. Right, so he knew he's gonna be doing some elements, and those, whatever the time he is on earth, it's only for a brilliant work and for a genius capacity of work to do the research and to teach the student with that speed. He got immense of speed. I have to tell you, when he probably been teaching the student, the speed with which he could write down some calculations or explain the theories have been so brilliant and unstoppable. It's kind of like a non-stop train in your brain. Again, there's no derailment, no stop, no signals anywhere. Okay, so with that speed, so he was very speeded guy when it comes to mathematics, when it comes to statistics, when it comes to research methodology. So very principalistic in nature, and his theories are always being retested. So he himself are the critic of his work. He analyzes objectives objectively and do the test or retest to bring the conclusion for it, and was very speeded in his journal work. It does not take much for him to write any part of any kind of research, and he picked up the speed within the family, and also when he wanted to sit and discover many aspects of the universe. So whatever the work he has done, or probably he does on the blackboard, or on the whiteboard, it's with that speed, and he writes down with the speed. He's very confident, and he cannot stop the speed. The moment he stops the speed, he might forget everything. So that was the personality he had. He loved to explain many concepts with the beauty of it. I never heard his videos, but I believe he got a beautiful way to explain some aspects of his discovery, and that's so very beautiful. It's worth to observe, worth to listen. Well, that's all I have for you about Albert Einstein. Let me tell you, such eminent figure, and when they're no more with us, to rediscover about their life, it's really tough. But I'm not sure whether I'm doing the justice to visit them even accurate at any point in time. But it's just an observation, what I feel, what I sense, what comes into my mind, and so if I make an error, please apologize, and if it is true, let me know, and whoever is very close to Albert Einstein. Um, I love to discover more about him. I love to bring forward more, but it would be, um, again, very tough going for me because it's like, I don't have the images right in front of me. So what I do is like I watch the images and come back and capture the video. So likewise, I will be doing it on Zoom. So probably I could open the image in front of me and then can analyze more. I may not be able to touch all the areas, but it's just a depiction with certain elements of the letters. And, if I could bring forward more, we'll be doing the best. Okay. But with Albert Einstein, this is all I have to depict with his handwriting, and I hope it has been useful and been given honor to such personality, such a theoretical, a brilliant people, a Nobel Prize award winner who left their remark upon mankind, um, for the life, for the meaning of life, and it's all hidden in the work, and that explanation with the work is so very clear with the depiction of his handwriting today. So just wait for another handwriting which I'm gonna be bringing forward to you in my next episode with Graphological interpretation. This is Sharon Dane saying goodbye. Take care.